This is Jake. Whoops.
Good start.
And our talk's called To Be Designed. I'm not going to lie, it was TBD on the invite for a while, and Carl was like, you need a title. So we actually sort of named it afterwards as To Be Designed. And we're going to be talking about design and collaboration between designers and developers.
This is the only slide I was allowed to design.
So we thought we'd better collaborate to make it a little bit better from this point on. So, yeah, as I said, my name's Pete. I'm a senior UX UI designer, previously at Moobaloo. I know some of you here from those days. And now I'm at Dyson, so yeah, I'm with Jake, sorry.
And I'm Jake, I'm a contract mobile developer. I do Android. If you're particularly nice, I might do iOS. I've worked with a good chunk of you, and hopefully I'll work with the rest of you at some other point.
Right, so, I mean, often from my experience, a designer will sort of sit down, do a load of designs, and then kind of say, ta-da, finished. And perhaps, this is a fence, by the way, I should point that out. Perhaps they will finish and throw it over the fence, and then the developer will sort of get something.
Guess what happens? Yeah. The next slide sort of shows what happens.
So, yeah, basically bad, big explosion, everyone dies. But it's not.
Everyone loses their jobs, that's it, game over.
Yeah. Client's not happy or what have you. So, if we could just rewind for a minute and go right back to the start, I think the main theme of this is collaboration, and doing it right from the start is very important. So, I think that we're all experienced designers, so not just the people that are initially designing things, everyone's contributing to this product at the end. We're all creating an experience for the user. So one of the first things to do, which I think is good, is sort of try and plot the features out on a graph. You might not be able to see this very well, but we've got the value to the user on the left, so high at the top, low at the bottom, and then ease to develop, complex on the left and easy on the right, so sort of almost flips that axis. And then you can sort of think about the features of the app and start to try and plot them within the space. And it's quite a good exercise for everyone involved, really, I think. Good to get the development in there early. The stakeholders are probably going to want to be involved at this stage as well. They are probably going to be interested in high value to the user and easy to develop, so that, you know, it's not going to cost loads of money and run over time and what have you.
Developers tend to like slightly more complex problems, not generally interested in user value. You want it to be good. I won't lie to you, when I said this, I wanted this to be a lot bigger. So we want the complexity because it's a bit more fun. If we're always doing easy work, then it's boring and we wouldn't do what we do.
And then designers are perhaps, well, they should be very interested in the value to the user. I managed to make my circle nice and big. But the point here is you probably don't want to be designing stuff that's way too complicated. It's probably not very good design anyway, like lean, simple stuff generally works better. So that's the sort of area that designers are interested in. So once we've sort of written all our features on some post-it notes, you can start to stick them onto this area and say, you know, sort of easy to develop and high, definitely going to do that one.
And then what you can do is you can draw a rough line. So ideally you want to be doing all the work on the top right of the graph. The bigger the company, the bigger the budget of the project. You tend to move this line down. Some companies will move the line all the way down here, and then they're doing waterfall. So yeah, ideally you want to be working on the top right initially, providing a lot of user value quickly.
So that's putting our circles back onto the layout. I think the point here is to sort of communicate between those three teams, or the whole company really, and work out where basically compromise and sort of move your move your concentration onto these post-it notes, and that's the bit you're going to build first. That could be your MVP, I guess.
Once again, you'll notice developers have compromised the most.
Do you want to check that?
Yeah. You can see who I'd find the
It
same.
made me do it.
But yeah, the plan is ideally you get a good mix in sprints, so everyone gets to do work that they feel is valuable, but also interesting and fun.
Yeah.
And if you mix it up, everyone's a bit happier.
So once you've got your features down and you know what you're doing, you can start to sort of do some journey mapping. And what a good way to do this is sort of think of the actions in the real world on this top channel here. What are the problems to the user? How do the features of the app solve the problems that the user's having? Because there's no point building something that's not going to actually help the user. Yeah.
And then, quite a rare one at this stage, but if you can, getting dev in, just working out what sort of tech you want, what APIs you might need. Is it actually possible to show this data on this screen? Because the earlier you get it, the quicker you'll fix it, the cheaper it is, the happier everyone is.
Yeah. It's good to point out as well that quite often in an agency environment, you say APIs to the stakeholder and they're like, what? We've got to do something, we've got to set something up. It's like, yeah, how do you think it's going to actually work? This thing here actually, I've got to point out, is you can sort of map the chance of the user dropping out of the app at any point. So maybe there's like a big form to fill in or something. The user's probably going to struggle at that point. They might close the app. So you want to kind of concentrate on that in terms of user experience to make sure it works well and is nice for the user. So then you can start to create an information architecture. It's basically a sitemap, I'd say. And the point of this is to sort of avoid unrealistic things happening. So I'm not going to just start designing some weird thing that no one knows about. That actually says wizards and unicorns, and that says impossible screen 1, 2, 3. Do you know what I mean? So, there you go.
That's the second thing I was allowed to do.
Yeah, so the point of this is just to make sure that everyone knows what's being built, and this is always going to change as well. There's no point like spending ages on it, but it gives you a rough idea of the whole map of the app. And there's the wizard, and there's another unicorn. But yeah, so it facilitates good communication and healthy understanding. And also, you can generally show this to anyone, and they'll understand the point of the whole app. Next point would be sort of looking at the wireframing. So the way I would go about that is to do very lo-fi, quick to change wireframes in black and white. And it's a chance to explore stuff and change things very quickly without worrying about high fidelity bits.
Now's quite a good time for devs to get involved, working out, like, can this flow change? The best example I've come up with so far is recently iOS and Android added the ability natively to fill in forms from saved data, and so you can reduce your forms quite a lot if this is there.
Yeah, and I might not know about that, so it's great to talk about those things.
Yeah, it's nice to talk to people.
Yeah. Who'd have thought
It's a recurring theme.
So prototyping, such as Proto.io, Marvel and Flinto, I think that ties into what we were just talking about, in that you can sort of use preset transitions and stuff and quickly show them on a device, and everyone loves that, and everyone can understand it a lot better, so the stakeholders will understand what you're doing, and you know what I want built, and I know what I want you to do.
And I know exactly what I won't build.
Yeah. Another thing to point out is you can start using testing at this point. So once you've got a working prototype, you should be testing that out on as many users as possible. That can be like guerrilla testing, so just people in your office, or literally, you know, doing it sort of. I went to Shanghai recently and tested on a load of Chinese participants, which was really interesting. And actually not as different as I thought it was going to be to what comes out here. But very important, if you can as well, to invite devs along to this, because they'll instantly see problems in the way things are built, as anyone would really. It's very insightful.
And this is probably the point you're going to just throw the prototype away. You're going to do it once, you're going to put it on a phone, you're going to run it, you're going to go, this is crap, just do it again. And you're going to do that 3, 4, 5, 6 times. Everyone's going to get pissed off at you because it doesn't work. You're going to try it again. And eventually you'll just come up with something that works and is acceptable. Then you'll improve it a bit more. And the cycle goes on until eventually you're happy and you think you've got it right. Later on you find you've got it wrong again, but you're happy for now.
Yeah.
You can move on.
It's quite interesting at this point to start switching over from a Flinto type prototype to maybe a small coded thing as well, just to get a better feel for what it's going to feel like.
So, interestingly, for the first time in like 6 years, I got to go to a user testing session. So I actually got to see the app I've been working on for 6 months being used by people with disabilities. And I mean, it's obvious I've always wanted my app to work well with accessibility, but until you actually see someone using it, there's no point shutting your eyes and tapping around and seeing what happens, because it's completely different. And we found a lot of issues that the people watching testing thought were just like, oh, we can add that feature, we can add that feature. And I was looking at it going, no, that should just work, that's a bug. Like, this should be a really quick thing for us to add in. Like, we haven't got to worry about some scope change, it's just a couple of lines that we've missed, or something not working as we expect. So it's generally not as hard as you think to add accessibility, but you don't tend to know that until somebody shows you.
Yeah, it's really eye-opening. It's really interesting.
QA in the design. So who here has spent like a week working on a screen, then like shown it off, thinking, oh, this is great, I love this, and then the designer's looked at it and he's got a load of notes scribbled all over it, and you think, you bastard. So yeah, but yeah, nobody wants this. No. Designers don't want to see a laser scribbling now. I don't want to see it. I don't want to see 50 Jira tickets pop up saying move this to the left, move this down. It just, everybody hates it.
Yeah. The overall.
Say that like getting a screenshot annotated is progress from places that I've worked where the answer is it doesn't look like the design. And it's like go back to the Photoshop file. It doesn't look like the design. And I remember like arguing with just send me a screenshot with some annotations on.
Yeah.
Then I know exactly what you're talking about rather than trying to like decode what you're.
It's funny actually, because I did this thinking that was fine, and then I showed him and he's like, oh, I know what this is about. This is about being a twat. But I think, yeah, the overall thing to take from this is collaborate early and, you know, try and iron out the problems before they happen and reiterate on the things. So yeah.
The quicker you can show someone, even if it's like the first label you've got in the top left and it's populating, you can sort of say, look, is this the sort of thing you want? Here it is on one screen, here it is on a much bigger screen. Do you want it to move? Do you not? Like, it's so much easier to tweak something when you're in the middle of doing it, rather than coming back 2 weeks later and move one thing to the left and everything moves to the left. And at that point you just want to cry.
So another thing that's good to do is make the guidelines together, so that the developer knows what your guidelines mean. You're not just handing over a big document that's probably got loads of pointless stuff in it, to be honest. The more lean you can make it, I think the better. So on to assets. I think a lot of people don't really ask what the developer needs and in what formats they want it and how they want it. I think it's really our job as UX UI people to hand that over and sort of, you know, present them in a format that makes sense. There's certain naming conventions that you should adhere to make it easier, so they don't have to go through and rename everything. Which
the most important point is to just standardise. So a lot of projects will have multiple design and UX working on it. And I, for one, have definitely worked on a project where I've had a PSD, I've had a sketch file, I've had, I don't know, GIF. And you're just like, you guys all want the same thing, and if I put all this in now, it's just going to look wrong. The image is going to be the wrong size, it's not going to look very good, it's only going to look good on some high-end phone. As soon as I drop it down, it's just going to look awful. Whereas if you have some flow, so say it's a sketch file, And the rule is every designer gives you a sketch file and it's already the right size. You just click export and it's done. Then at least everybody knows where they stand. If it goes wrong, then somebody else can pick it up. Every designer knows where they are, every developer knows where they are. And
You want a process.
yeah, I don't like the process generally, but this is the one place I do things. You kind of want it. And another important thing is just keeping up to date with new tools. I mean, Android especially, but I know iOS has as well. They're getting better at supporting more types of images, more efficient types of images, videos. Like a couple of years ago, they introduced SVG support. So simple icons, don't only have to drop in 5 images, you can just put in one nice light asset. WebP, which is like a way of increasing the efficiency of your PNG images, which is only supported in Android, we found out.
Lottie.
Lottie's a great one for animations. I mean, I've saved countless hours by getting someone designed to do me a quick Lottie animation rather than trying to animate it myself and failing.
And Mikkel, are you here? What was your thing called?
Oh, man.
Come on. Sorry? Yeah, that was really good.
Awesome.
Doing small, like, simple little animations, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Really good. I liked that. I'm going to look into that.
Post. I took a lot of time to write it.
It's great. I loved the heart turning into a send icon.
Yeah. No, so I can't tell you if you want to.
So, too long didn't listen.
Everybody.
That's about it.
I suppose one of the most important things you do is just be inquisitive. If you see someone in design looking at something, there's a good chance you're going to see it at a later stage. So why not speak to them now? Why not find out if it's a good idea? Like, tell them now if you think it's a bad idea. Don't wait for them to 3 weeks later when it's finished and been signed off. Because, trust me, no one likes you then.
So yeah, it's the same sort of point really, involves developers in the design process. You can, like I was saying earlier, you can do a lot of transitions and things that you might think are quite difficult from a design point of view, which are actually quite easy because you've got libraries that you can use to make that thing happen.
And just communicating with each other. Like it sounds weird, but in small companies it tends to be a lot easier. You can communicate across teams easier when you're all sat in the same room. The bigger the company, the harder it is. I mean, you'll get to the point where designers are in one room and developers will be in a completely different site, possibly on a different time zone, and you can't talk that much. So like just being able to have a social is quite important. So recently at Dyson there was a locked in the room. I mean, we mix the teams up, developers and designers, you lock them in a room for an hour, and funnily enough not everyone killed each other. So, and yeah, everyone becomes a lot just better at working together.
Yeah, it's easier to collaborate. So it's good to push each other, but don't be too pushy and annoying, obviously. The main word is compromise. I think we've said that quite a few times throughout this presentation. And also bribe with biscuits and things. If you want a little animation done or what have you, just, bribe.
And designing prototypes together, I mean, mentioned it earlier, just being involved at that point where there's a flint or a marble being created and saying, well, Android can do it like this. Do that now, because if you have a client, for instance, and they see this nice pretty thing that isn't anything to do with Android, and they say, now we want it, you're kind of screwed. It's very hard to get them to change their mind now.
Regular knowledge sharing and show and tell sessions. Keep checking in, show what you've designed or what you've developed. They're really important. I think you can easily spot things and sort them out quicker.
And don't expect things to be right the first time round. That's prototyping, that's wireframing, that's when it's developed and finished. At every point there are going to be bits that are wrong, and every bit's going to have to go through again. And at some point somebody's going to get fed up. But you just have to sort of stick with it, because in the end it does, like, nobody hates you for it. The designer isn't saying it looks wrong because they hate you as a developer.
I don't know.
I don't think. Could be wrong now.
And that's it from us. Thanks.